This is Straight Talk with enlivening Greg Penn, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shannon Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fan, the Preacher Man.
Well, welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Penn, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. Jones. Hey, Shannon.
Good morning, Vietnam. How you doing, Bishop?
I'm doing great. I'm just happy to be here and be in the land of the living and having another great program with you and talk about this January 6th committee and this whole thing about Mr. Trump, his cronies, and what they plan to do to make him a monarch. Not a monarch, but a dictator. A dictator. You know, we were up in D.C. This week, Shannon and I and Bishop Lackey and Corey Moss and Sean Smith from Black Push, along with
Victor Lackey.
And we were up there advocating, giving compelling arguments as to about this menthol cigarettes. And I know some people saying, well, you guys are pushing cigarettes. Smoking is bad. Yes, and we agree with smoking is bad. But we certainly don't agree with criminalizing black and brown people who smoke the majority of menthol cigarettes, putting them in jail because they're addicted to cigarettes. But we'll talk a little bit more about that a little later on. But man, I tell you, it was some kind of experience. But the point that I was going to make was there was a gentleman riding a bicycle up there, and he had this sign that was saying Rick for Dictator.com. He said,
I remember that.
He said the Republicans ain't doing nothing and the Democrats ain't doing nothing, so he needs to be the dictator.
Exactly. Because basically he's saying that both parties are filled with dictators with their position, and none of those positions, or much of those positions, are not bread and butter issues that we deal with on an everyday basis. Like too high gas prices. You can't afford bologna, beef, chicken anymore. Eggs are $50. Bread. It's just ridiculous.
Gasoline.
And so he said, while we're dealing with all that, they're up in the sky dealing with stuff that we don't. What's going on here?
Yeah. The issues we need them to address is issues and not cigarettes. We need them to be talking about bringing gas prices down, food prices down, and mortgages and rent. Mortgages and rent. People don't have places to live anymore because they can't pay the rent. They cannot afford the houses because the housing market is crazy now. But we're going to talk all about it and more, and we'll be back on the other side after this brief. It's going to be a brief segment with Miss C and Straight Talk News. Hey, Miss C!
Hey, Miss C!
Hi. Miss C here with your 3-minute news blast or more. Hey, Greg. Hey, Shannon. Hope you all are doing well over there. I hope everyone's doing well. Actually, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, wouldn't you say? New Jerusalem Missionary Baptist at 1385 Gus Thornhill Jr. Drive in East Point celebrates Women's Day, July 24th, 10:30 a.m. with guest speaker Elder Sharon L. Grant. You can worship in person, or you can do it on Facebook Live. Reverend Thomas G. Ashford is the pastor. For more information, call 404-766-8117. How about worshiping with the Gathering Baptist Church? Real people, real talk, real church. It's pastored by our own Straight Talk News Reverend Shannon Jones. Worship begins every Sunday at 11 a.m. You can log on to the website at thegatheringatl.org, or you can worship with them in person at 3707 Main Street in College Park. All right. Deliverance of Faith House of Miracles presents its 2022 Women's Conference, God's Calling for the Wailing Women, beginning Saturday, July 30th at noon with guest speaker Apostle Marsha Frost of 3-in-1 Global Ministries. It concludes Sunday, July 31st at 3 p.m. with Dr. Hashana Lockett of Grace Church of Stone Mountain bringing the word. This 2022 Women's Conference will be held at Deliverance of Faith House of Miracles, 1730 Hollywood Road, Building A in Atlanta. For more information, call 404-667-8921. That's 404-667-8921. My good friend Apostle Bessie Arnold is the founder and pastor. Now listen, if you have some news you'd like for us to announce, send it to us at straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. That's straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. And listen, I also like for you to do 4 things for me. I'd like for you to like us. I'd like for you to share us. I'd like for you to give comments. And what's that 4th thing? Share, like, give comments. And it's a 4th thing. Greg, what you talking about that 4th thing? I don't know. Every week I somehow lose one of the things I'm asking people to do. I don't know what that is. But anyway, I know what it probably is. But anyway, we're going to see you right back here next time on Straight Talk News. This is Miss C signing off.
Well, Miss C, thank you so much, Miss C, for all that you do. And Miss C, just this past week, she had an opportunity on Thursday to be with Bag Lady, and she was one of the presenters, and she contributed to a book that was being written. And thank you, Ms. C, for all that you do. And don't forget about the upcoming events with Pastor Ashford and the New Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church and their day. And then the pastor and the women who are going to be speaking at the church and that event. And so now, Shannon, what we're going to do, we're going to turn it over and hear from Mr. Pat Cipollone, right? And who's an attorney who said that, gave advice to Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, you cannot do what you want to do. You cannot have the states and have the federal government to go in and take all the election machines so you can win the election, right? Fought against him. We'll hear from Mr. Bannon, who talked about what they were going to do on January 6th. And then we'll hear a brief interview that was when Trump was running. I said Trump was running for president of the United States in 2016. And when he was asked the question, if he should lose, would he still be, what's that noise? What's that noise? I hear some noise, Shannon. It's on your end. Is that noise on your end, Shannon? Shannon, I don't hear you. Can you hear me? I think you cut yourself off. But anyway, we are going to hear an interview that was done at a 2016 debate between Mrs. Clinton and Mr. Trump, where he was asked a pointed question, Mr. Trump, if you should lose, would you be willing to accept the fact that the United States have a smooth transition, and that will be a smooth transition from your administration to the next president's administration? And you will hear Mr. Trump's comment and why we're in the dilemma we're in today. We'll be back with that. So you stay tuned to the other side and listen to these comments made by Mr. Cipollone and the January 6th committee, and then Mr. Bannon, and then Mr. Trump himself.
Sitting there, I was not happy to see the people in the Oval Office. Well, again, I don't think they were providing. Well, first of all, the overstock person, I've never knew who this guy was. Actually, the first thing I did, I walked in, I looked at him, and I said, "Who are you?" And he told me. I don't think any of these people were providing the president with good advice.
Cipollone was equally scornful about the pro-coup team's plan to have the federal government seize voting machines.
It's a terrible idea for the country. That's not how we do things in the United States. There's no legal authority to do that. And there is a way to contest elections, that It happens all the time. But the idea that the federal government could come in and seize election machines, you know, that's I don't understand why I would even have to tell you what.
What Trump's going to do is just declare victory, right? He's going to declare victory. But that doesn't mean he's the winner. He's just going to say he's the winner. The Democrats, more of our people vote early that count. Theirs voted mail. And so they're going to have a natural disadvantage, and Trump's going to take advantage of it. That's our strategy. He's going to declare himself a winner. So when you wake up Wednesday morning, it's going to be a firestorm. If Trump is losing by 10 or 11 o'clock at night, it's going to be even crazier. No, because he's going to sit right there and say they stole it.
Agree.
I'm directing the Attorney General to shut down all ballot places in all 50 states. It's going to be no. He's not going out easy. If Biden's winning, Trump is going to do.
Donald Trump was not shy about the fact that he would never accept an election loss. He was quite public about it. He said it before he took office back in 2016.
Do you make the same commitment that you will absolutely, sir, that you will absolutely accept the result of this election?
I will look at it at the time. I'm not looking at anything now. I'll look at it at the time.
But, sir, there is a tradition in this country. In fact, one of the prides of this country is the peaceful transition of power, and that no matter how hard fought a campaign is, that at the end of the campaign, that the loser concedes to the winner, not saying that you're necessarily going to be the loser or the winner, but that the loser concedes to the winner and that the country comes together in part for the good of the country. Are you saying you're not prepared now to commit to that principle?
What I'm saying is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well, I guess he's kept us in suspense, and the suspense is over because it looks like to me what the plan was. They did it. They did exactly what they said Bannon said it was going to do. I mean, Trump did exactly what Bannon said they were going to do. Exactly, Shannon. Exactly what he said he was going to do. Trump did it. He did it. So, Shannon, what do you have to say?
Well, first of all, our sound has gone down very low, so I could not hear the clips or you right now. But I'm trying to read your lips here. I certainly think that that basically the house of cards is beginning to fall down, and it's what we already knew, and that Trump was actually not leading a bunch of crazies. He was leading a bunch of crazies on the outside, but they weren't too crazy on the inside. He willfully ignored them to go in the direction that he was trying to lead the country in for his own personal aggrandizement, for his own personal power to hold on to the presidency. You know, it was completely self-serving, and it was tyranny. And basically, that's what we're seeing now. The Bannon situation, you know, his strategies, the judge cut right through his strategy. But the bottom line is that the house of cards are falling down, and it really seems like this was an act of tyranny.
Well, I want to say that the January 6th committee has, in my opinion, they have done a stellar job of exposing Mr. Trump and his comrades who plotted to keep him in power, be over and above what the Constitution says is supposed to take place. And they did everything that they could to make sure that he stayed the president of the United States. Everything, but his plans failed because there were others like Mr. Pence, who was true to the Constitution and the duties that he had taken an oath and swore that he would uphold. Some people did not take that to be something that they should stay true to, and they began to be a part of the big lie. And there were several Congress people who were a part of it, about 11 of them. 10 of them were men and one was a female, and you know who that female was, Marjorie Greene Tell a Lie. So they all were a part of this conspiracy to overthrow the government, our democracy as we know it now. Now, we got things. We have one more Senate hearing, and then after that Senate hearing, it may be the conclusion of it, and then it may be another Senate hearing, special one, depending on what other information may come out. Because as we heard the other day, many of us who are staying on top of this is that Mrs. Cheney said there is a witness, there may be possible witness tampering by Mr. Trump, because Mr. Trump called a potential witness, but they did not take his call. So there may be some more stuff that's coming out in this January 6th insurrection. Now, people are calling it what it is now, an insurrection, not a tour. You know, it was calling it a tour at first, Shannon, right? This is a tour. They was just touring the White House. Even those who were part of it talked about how they were led to be a part of it. And Mr. Trump himself wanted to be the leader of it. He actually wanted to walk to the Capitol with these people with guns and arms to overthrow this government. I mean, that was a coup.
It was a tour. It was a militia tour duty.
Okay.
And they went in there to overthrow the the certification of that election, so that that Trump. And let's be clear with this: these people don't love Trump. Trump was the kind of figurehead that allowed them to bring their vitriol and hate for this country, for this government. Let me say this: there's a separation between government and country. They love the country that they perceive. They hate the government that wants to have control over the liberties and rights that they feel that they have. Liberties and rights that they feel that they have that are exclusive to them. Privilege that is exclusive to them. And they hate the browning of America. They hate the fact that we're not slaves, that we're free. They hate the fact that a black man could put his hand on a Bible and become the president of the United States of America after swearing his oath to his country. They hate to see us voting. They hate to see black and brown and yellow folks empowered. And so that's what's going on. And Trump, being not the brightest guy, but not the dumbest guy either, was able to see that there was mutual use here, that he could play like he cared about their agenda. Trump does not care about toothless white men in Appalachia, okay? He is a Archie Bunker racist that wants to hold power for himself. And so this was about using their agenda to empower his agenda. Well, what is his agenda? His agenda is Donald John Trump. That is his agenda.
Well, Shannon, you said it very eloquently, and I think that for those who are viewing and watching today, that's why it's important for us, those of us to register to vote and to vote, and to vote in massive and record numbers. Don't give up on the privilege that we as black people have, because we really don't have the right, because they have to vote on us. It was so often to give us that privilege again to vote. And so as we are looking at this and seeing what's going on, and you see where they're trying to stop us from voting, you see where they're trying to oppress us as a people and to take us back into the 40s and the 20s, black and brown people, black people, and especially because as we talked about the menthol cigarettes, when we look at what they're doing in terms of banning menthol cigarettes under the guides, it's a health concern. Well, we don't smoke, and it is a health concern. We agree with that, but drinking is too. Alcohol is a health concern too. Many of the pills that you take are a health concern, because when you take those pills, they do have side effects, but that's a choice that we make and we take as to whether or not we're going to take this pill, or whether or not you're going to drink that alcohol, or whether or not you're going to eat that food or something that has a warning on it to say that if you do this, it may be harmful to your health. Well, this issue of menthol cigarettes, and I'm segueing into that because this issue is an issue that is going to affect many black and brown people. 85% of 18 million people who are black and brown smoke menthol cigarettes. And on those packs, it says, the Surgeon General says, that smoking can be harmful to your health. They want to ban menthol cigarettes, but then regular cigarettes, your Camel, Lucky Strike, and some of the other cigarettes, they don't want to ban them for another 7 years, they say. But menthol, they want to do it in a year. They want to ban menthol cigarettes. Now, Shannon's going to talk a little bit more about the criminalization part of it. I'm going to start in with it, Shannon, and then I'll let you pick it up. But think about this. If, in fact, they say FDA has no power, to levy criminal charges if a person is caught with a pack of menthol cigarettes. The FDA has no authority over it. But let me tell you who has authority over it. The states have authority over, if something is illegal, the state legislators can impose a law that says that if you smoking menthol cigarettes, if found to be, they can be a misdemeanor. If you sell them, it could be a felony, or it could be a felony if you smoke them, because they're illegal. It's an illegal substance now. They can pass that law, then the police has to enforce the law of the state, right? So who do you not think that in your state, and I don't know what state you're in, do you not think that they would begin to come up with laws to criminalize black people and put them in jail now because their offenders start? Marijuana is going to be legal, so the jails are going to be empty. So we got to get that occupancy back up. So we get that occupancy back up by criminalizing people for smoking menthol cigarettes. Shannon, I'm turning it over to you.
Yes, I would like for the intelligent, straight talk audience, and I'm so happy that we have an intelligent audience that's engaged and read in, and as the young folks say, that are awakened to what's really going on here. I want to give you a multiple choice test. Who benefits for over criminalizing tobacco, banning menthol cigarettes, which are legal today, and putting hundreds of thousands of African American men and women, Latino men and women who subsist in very challenging communities into prison? Answer one, people who don't smoke menthol cigarettes. Answer two, the makers of all cigarettes. Answer three, mayors of all the cities in America. Answer four, investors that are investing in privatized prisons in mass numbers to the tune of billions and billions of dollars. If you answer D or answer four, you have answered correctly. This targeted ban is a pipeline from African American communities and brown communities straight into the prison industrial complex. And they want you to think that anybody that would think that they are bringing this ban against menthol branded cigarettes to put people in jail are wrong. They're only doing this for the health, 85% of all smokers who are black, and 18.6 million people who are addicted to menthol cigarettes. If they really cared about the health of people, they would bring that so-called phase out of 7 years of nicotine up today and ban cigarettes today.
Shannon, are you still there? Shannon, yeah, okay. I thought maybe you got cut off, but let me just, as we're going to be talking more about this, and we want to hear your comments about it. And I know we're going to get pushback from people saying, well, smoking is bad. People are dying from cancer. Yes, they are, but they're dying from cirrhosis of the liver drinking.
And Bishop, to that point, mass incarceration is a health issue.
It is.
That has totally no other community. If you mass incarcerated Jewish men and the numbers that you mass incarcerate black men and brown men, and it affected Jewish communities, folks would understand. If you mass incarcerated Asian men and at the numbers that you've mass incarcerated black men. And so how are you mass incarcerated? Well, they're breaking the law. Yeah, when you change the law to ban a cigarette that they were addicted to last week and the law has changed, yes, when you target them with various different policies and laws that make it easy to entrap them and bring them in. The effects of mass incarceration of black and brown men have destabilized our communities in a way that has been a major health problem for the overall health of our community. And no other community, such as the African American community in this country, since we have been freed from slavery, have had to deal with the kinds of laws and policies and arrests and the contentious relationship that we have had against the enforcement of fugitive laws from slavery to fugitive laws today, that we are still dealing with. This contentious relationship that we have had with law enforcement has been a strain on our community that has never allowed us to really have at large a stable community. And this policy further destabilizes our community and builds a larger barrier between that negative construction between the African American community and the law enforcement community.
We're going to continue to talk about this because the law enforcement community has signed off that this is a bad policy, because they don't see how they're going to enforce it. They don't see where the resources are going to come from to enforce it. But we'll talk about all those groups that are out there that are against it. Yes, there are people in the health profession that are for it. There are people who say, well, it is a bad policy. Well, if it's so bad and smoking so bad, just ban cigarettes, period. Just ban all cigarettes at the same time and see what we get, okay? But we're gonna get ready to get out of here. Hey, you ain't heard nothing but what? Straight talk with yours truly, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, and Shannon Jones. And do share this with your friends. Won't you do that? We'll see you next week. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like us. Don't forget to share. And don't forget to put in your comments.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fan at FANN922@Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shannon Jones and Greg Fan, the Preacher Man.